Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering creativity. I'm Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Marianne James, who serves as the executive director of The Ark, an extraordinary venue in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Marianne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. It's great to see you. Great to be part of this.
So obviously, I'm so excited to be able to talk to you. I have been able to experience the extraordinary offerings that the Ark has had to offer literally for decades. And we're going to talk a little about that and especially a unique moment in time for the Ark. But first, I thought it would be great just to start off for everyone in our audience. Could you kind of just share, what the Ark is and especially kind of the scope of its programming and its impact for not only our community, but the broader community?
Sure, happy to do that. So the Ark has been around since 1965. People think of it mostly as a venue, founded obviously during the folk movement of the 60s. So people like to shorthand it as a folk venue. We tend to think of it as much more than that, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But it's a 400-seat listening room in downtown Ann Arbor. And it's been through three iterations. This is the third venue that we've had. And it wears a couple of hats. For one thing, it's a venue, and for another, it's a presenter. So we present primarily at the Ark, which is, we do about 300 shows a year in that venue. And then we have the pleasure and privilege of presenting in some bigger venues in and around the Detroit and Ann Arbor area throughout the year. So we'll do 20 to 24 of those shows either on our own as a promoter or with a partner. So we got our hands full.
It's truly amazing. And of course, the breadth of the program and just the volume of programming that you do, it really is extraordinary. And can you kind of share the, the artists, like what do people what have people come to expect in having an experience with
Yeah.
the art?
So let me first just mention, Aaron, you've talked about, the breadth of our programming. It's something that we kind of think of as a big hyphen. It's got traditional music, contemporary music, folk, bluegrass, blues, jazz, a lot of singer-songwriters. And as I mentioned, it's a listening room. So people come to expect an experience where they are really having an intimate exchange with the artist and also with other audience members. It's a very focused experience typically. That doesn't mean people are sitting on their hands by any stretch, but they're really there to hear the music. So it's not a bar atmosphere. It's not an atmosphere where people are chatting. They know how to interact with the artist. So you'll hear people, applauding a great riff or a high note that gets held. But they know that, they're there to listen and the people around them are there to listen. And so they come to expect also just a really great exchange with the artist because artists are very relaxed there and really enjoy playing in front of ARC audiences.
And I love when you use the word intimate, that I think there are just so many people who crave that kind of interaction with an artist. And that's one of the things that just has always stood out to me is that intimate engagement. And really, as you mentioned too, not just with the artist, but also with the other audience members. So definitely amazing. So in particular, this is a unique time for the ARC, an extraordinary anniversary. Can you kind of just share about that and kind of what does it mean for the ARC?
Yeah, so we're turning 60 in 2025. And it's one of those, it's not a 50, it's not a 75, but it has a zero. And we always like to celebrate the zeros and the fives, right? So we're excited about celebrating 60, especially in the world that we're living in now. It gives us a great opportunity to celebrate community. That's really what we're focused on. So who have been the ARC's communities through the years, and who are the ARC's communities today? And also really, who are the communities that have been missing? And how do we get those folks invited and involved and get them to the table so that they're really helping to shape what the ARC is as it goes forward? So we see anniversaries at this point in our in our evolution as not just so much looking back at the past, there's obviously a little bit of that, but really focusing on what's happening in the go forward. And we will also be undertaking a big visioning and strategic planning process throughout the year that we are going to invite community members to. So that will be helping to shape where the organization is going, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what music, as I say, is missing, what do we need more of. And when you've got 300 shows a year, that's a big sandbox to play in. So you can carve out some nice territory for different sounds and different kinds of music. So we're excited about that.
And moving forward, is there, right, there are so many in our audience who either are, are leading venues or their organizations obviously are focused on audiences, audiences, audiences. As you're looking forward, are there any kind of key priorities or trends or things, either opportunities or threats that are prominent in your mind as you're thinking forward, especially about audiences?
Sure. I think that's the $60 million question, right, Aaron? Everybody's asking it and everybody's saying, what is going on with audiences? And I think, it's really interesting in our segment of the industry. We're, touring musicians. But I call it the big middle because we're not small, really local, hyper local, although we do include local folks for sure as part of our programming. But there's a place where big artists outgrow us. So the Avett Brothers, Amos Lee, Brandy Carlisle, those people start at the Ark, but then they outgrow us and they go to bigger venues. We're in this ecosystem of the middle of touring artists who can make a living in venues that are smaller, 200 to 500 seat venues, and they can have a career there. And people love to see those kinds of artists. At least they have historically. So, what is happening with younger generations? What do they want to hear? What kind of ways do they want to consume their entertainment? That's the big question. And so, just yesterday, you may have known this or seen this. They announced the results of the Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour. $2 billion in ticket sales. It's crazy. And that sucks up all the oxygen. People talk about how great things like that are doing. And smaller independent venues, our size and thereabouts, it's different for us. We don't have a Taylor Swift to guarantee sales all the time. So we're going to be watching for what happens to the big middle in this environment. And that's why we really want to be listening during this 60th anniversary year during our planning, because we want to hear, what do audiences want? What aren't we doing that we should be doing? But when you find out the answer to those questions, Aaron, you let us all know because we want to know.
Exactly, exactly. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, no, and especially you really captured that balance and kind of where things are headed. And so also just coming up now, literally in just a week or two, can you just share with all those in our audience who either are right here close and are definitely coming or are going to now travel to be able to experience the folk festival? Just wondering if you could share a little of that since it's coming up so soon.
Yeah, yes, it's the Ann Arbor Folk Festival, which has been going on almost 50 years now. And every year, except during times that shall not be named, we actually have our signature event in Hill Auditorium, the beautiful Hill Auditorium on the University of Michigan campus. For 2 nights, we bring in a couple of headlining and sub-headlining artists each night, and then new emerging artists or veteran artists that have been around a long time that haven't really gotten the kind of recognition that they deserve. And it's really a smorgasbord of music. It's an opportunity for people to hear artists that they know and love playing longer sets, and then be introduced to new artists. And it's been something that the community has looked forward to for years. And it's an opportunity for people to really come together in that community way that we were just talking about. As an audience, being an audience, and also interacting, on a much larger scale with really wonderful artists. And it is also the largest annual fundraising event for the Ark. So it's a big deal.
Absolutely awesome. I definitely am encouraging all of our audience to come and join us for that. And so we're just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all my guests, the opportunity to experience and spend so much time with all of these, extraordinary artists and of course all of your audiences. But there has to be tough days. And so just wondering, as a leader, as an arts administrative leader, any mechanisms or best practices that you utilize kind of in the toughest of times that get you through those?
Yeah, Aaron, that's a wonderful question. And what really works for me is to keep going back to what's the heart of what it is that we're trying to do, that we're trying to do large scale, and how that trickles down to the small scale of what we're doing. And if we keep that, if I keep that in my mind and in my heart, like what's the essence here? So, for the Ark, our mission, people say, oh, it's music. No, our mission is enriching the human spirit. So if we just keep coming back to what is that, that's where I can get perspective back and really get through times. And we sometimes joke in the office, bringing music to the people. That's what we're doing.
Marianne James, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything you do, and especially for our community. And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Aaron. Real pleasure.